maaso lindako naawe anyina okumaliza bataano kuba twabadde twagala babakubemu ne ku muziki wano naye njagala bakakasamu abaana ba Buganda nti missoni yaffe ekyagenda mu maaso. Tubadde mu bitundu ebyenjawulo bingi, tubadde Arua, tubadde Erango, tubadde Ankole, tubadde Ebunyolo, tubadde Karamoja, tubadde Macholi, tubadde Bugisu, tubadde Busoga, tubadde Bukedi, tubadde buli wamu. Ne buli we tutuuka abantu bagamba ekimala. So njagala okubajjukizamu abantu b'e Buganda ebimu ku bebangamba bagamba Abaganda mwe mwaleeta Museveni ate nga kituufu. Ate ne bannangira ekirala bagamba Abaganda mwe musinze okulemezako Museveni ate nga batuufu, kubanga nali Arua ne bagamba gwe tukuwagira nnyo, tukwagala nnyo, naye lwaki buli muntu alwanyisa struggle eno anyira bwe bwammwe? Baganda bange temugwamu maanyi. Ako ke kakodyo n'abazungu ke bakozesa nga bajja okuwama ensi yaffe mu myaka gy'olukumu 8. Balondamu omu ku mmwe afaanana nga mmwe ne bamukozesa. Njagala okubasaba mmwe abasigadde muli bangi nnyo, toyinza kukkiriza omu wadde bajjajjaffe bagamba mulya mamba ab'omu n'avumaganya ekika kyonna, naye ffe ku mulembe gwa Mutebi guno gwavuka tugamba nti abangi basobola okusangulawo ekibi ky'omuntu omu. So ffe tuli bangi, tulina obuvunaanyizibwa n'obusobozi okusiga ekifaananyi eky'abavubuka Abaganda ab'omulembe Omutebi, ne tuyimirira ku mulamu ogwo gwe tukkiririzaamu, ne batuwa ekitiibwa Busoga, ne batuwa ekitiibwa Erango, ne batuwa ekitiibwa Nkole, ne batuwa n'ebitiibwa ewalala bonna bonna. Abantu abatono temubakkirizanga okusiga ekifaananyi ekibi ku ggwanga lyammwe. Nze nagenda Enkole ne bampa omukazi kubanga ekifaananyi kye bamanyi eky'Abaganda bakimanyi ku nze, ate bamanyi ndi wa kabi. Kati bamanyi Enkole bamanyi Abaganda tuli bakabi. Naawe gy'oba ogenze yonna ne bw'oba ogenze bweru wa ggwanga, njagala ojjukira ekigambo kino: gwe buli mwana wa Buganda eyo gy'otambulira amanya nti okikirira Buganda yaffe.
Where do I go?
Loka.
Azimba bulungi naye ndikwota n'abakozi n'ofiisi
Onopolyutinga bulungi environment. Kulembera.
Mukyala ali ono. Lwaki batulembedde endowooza eno?
Weka tolina okukiikirira. Maliriza Baganda bange nga mbategeeza nti badikiteeta bagwa era ne Museveni ajja kugwa ate mu biseera ebitali byawala. Baba natera okugwa bafaanana nga batasobola kugwa naye bamala ne bagwa. Baganda bange temuggwamu ssuubi. temutya mundu ezo, temutya sente ze bayiwa mu bantu, temutya tiyagasi, temuggwanga mu ssuubi baganda bange. Olutimbe oluli wakati waffe n'eddembe lyaffe baluyita kutya. Bwe tunawangula okutya tujja kuba tusobola okuwangula buli kimu. Temuggwanga mu ssuubi baganda bange. Temukkirizanga muntu basiwula mpisa oli bwakugamba ekigambo ekikyamu mu challenging egoddemu kituufu. Bwakusanganga ewantu wonna wonna ng'ayagala kuweebuula, oba akusanze mu kuziika oba akusanze ku mbaga, muleke ye yeeweebuule. Temuggwanga mu ssuubi baganda bange. Temuyina buyinza ku bantu bye basobola kuboogerako, naye muyina obuyinza ku ngeri gye musobola okuddamu. Temuggwanga mu ssuubi baganda bange. Bagenda kukola bingi, bagenda basiba, bagenda batiisatiisa, naye temuggwanga mu ssuubi. Bino mbibagamba buli nnaku. Abeewaffe tebagala mbyogereko kubanga babagamba eyo nayo tutiisa, naye mbagamba kizo n'omusajja agezezzaako ebintu bingi ku bulamu bwange, so simanyi bbanga ki lyendiwo, naye temukkirizanga Museveni oba wendi oba siriwo, temumukkirizanga bafutubbalako. Ate temukkirizanga abo abantu bonna
ewakatomanyi eddagala yange balikuwadde
nabakozesa okubawudiisa. Mubatunuulire, temutyanga omuntu yenna, oba temutidde Museveni ayina emmundu emitwalo n'emitwalo, temutyanga omuntu yenna baganda bange. Ne bwaba wakitiibwa atya muwange.
Don't just hurry.
Under the previous system, that was all the sugarcane that was grown under the previous system, under the NAD system, had to be redone all over again. Because with mechanization, the width of the sugarcane field, before we used to do it at 1.3. That is the average in the whole of East Africa when you do it. This is, so with mechanization, the field has changed completely. Before, our fields were square, 20 acres with 440 meters and 190 meter roads going around it. Now, because of center pivot, it goes round. So all the gardens, even the work plan changed completely. We create everything again because now these are cylindrical gardens, unlike the past. So we can proceed to the next step. So you can see the water intake.
So you are the manager?
No, I work in the planning department of the project. You have agriculture and you have...
ekitiibwa naye ne mumubuuza ebibuuzo ebikulu ne mugamba ate ffe nga tulaba kino kyekituufu kino kikyamu. Temukkirizanga muntu balowoleza mwerowoleze nga baganda bange temuggwangamu ssuubi. Njagala okuva waggulu nga neebaza abakulembeze baffe abategese olukuŋŋaana luno, mwebale nnyo mwebalire ddala. Njagala okwebaza ababaka ba Parliament abasigadde ku mulamwa tuufu maaso g'obulombolombo n'obuntu bulamu. Yensonga lwaki tebalina kyasimba kye basobola tuvunaana nti mwakoze kino ne kino ne kino. Nedda balina kukozesa bulimba. Njagala okubasaba abaana b'e Masaka mubeere ahead, mubeere babuufu. Njagala obakakasa nti oluvannyuma lwa byonna tugenda kuwangula kubanga tetulina musango. Tugenda kuwangula nkibalayirira amazima ga Katonda muggulu. Tugenda kuwangula kuba tetulina musango, tetulina kye twali tukoze kikyamu. Bino bye tukola tetubikola ku lwaffe, tubikola ku lwa ggwanga lyaffe. Ate n'abo be bakozesa otutulugunya nabo tubalwanirira. Era mbabuliridde wano e Masaka olunaku lujja kukya lumu. Eno temubanyi ngende maaso, ngende maaso. Lindako naawe. Nyina okumaliriza bataano kuba twabadde twagala babakubemu ne ku muziki wano. Naye njagala obakakasamu abaana ba Buganda nti mission yaffe ekyagenda mu maaso. Tubadde ebitundu ebyenjawulo bingi, tubadde Arua, tubadde Erango, tubadde Ankole, tubadde Ebunyolo, tubadde Karamoja, tubadde Mwacholi, tubadde Bugisu, tubadde Busoga, tubadde Bukedi, tubadde buli wamu. Ne buli we tutuuka abantu bagamba ekimala kimala. So njagala okubajjukizamu abantu b'e Buganda. Ebimu ku bye baŋŋamba bagamba Abaganda mmwe mwaleeta Museveni ate nga kituufu. Ate ne bannangira ekirala bagamba Abaganda mmwe musinze okulemezaako Museveni. Ate nga batuufu kubanga nali Arua ne bagamba ggwe tukuwagira nnyo, tukwagala nnyo, naye lwaki buli muntu alwanyisa struggle eno abeera bwe wammwe? Baganda bange temuggwamu maanyi. Ako ke kakodyo n'abazungu ke bakozesa nga bajja okuwama ensi yaffe mu myaka.
Number 2, you're not running operations. And number 3, you have to restart every week the process. So we said until we have constant cane coming into the factory, this project is not sustainable. Before, we did not have irrigation in this project. So let's just walk through here. This is the boiler and the powerhouse. First March 2022 was the last day. First April we started.
2020 is the last day you produced.
Yes.
Sugar cane takes how many years?
But then 1.5 years to grow. But under irrigation, 1 year.
2022.
But now mechanization, you released money as Parliament 2021. Government started procuring for this mechanization equipment. End of 2022. These equipment only arrived here in December last year, 2023. This is the first year of starting mechanization. They came in almost at the end of our time.
That time was you don't plant it, then you say after we spent billions that it's not the correct grade. So with this farmer program, we were supposed to do a total of 60,000 acres. Although we cleared 37,000 acres of sugarcane, we planted 12,900. From that 12,900, over 90% of it was not well taken care of and had a lot of fires, which was not owned. We had already handed it over to NAS to hand it over to farmers. So the biggest challenge to this project became, you have a factory, but you have no control over the raw material. The raw material is controlled by a third party. And the third party, we were thinking the cooperative's job was to organize farmers. But we had, in our opinion, non-existent farmers. Because we will even go to the next page to show money paid to farmers. Very few farmers received this money. So the biggest challenge for us as a project became, how do you have a factory without the raw material? So if you read through, which I will leave you in the future to read through in detail, showing you the challenges, but the major challenges were three. The first major challenge in us planting sugarcane, it is a manually intensive crop. This manually intensive crop, we expected participation with the farmer. So if I am supposed to plant that acre of sugarcane for you, organize the workers as well. Government has even paid for that worker of yours. Government has paid for fertilizer, but there's no organization, no participation. It is you to go to Masindi, to West Nile, to Busoga to bring employees, who after 2 to 3 weeks go back. And then the problem is, it is your job now to do infrastructure. But if now, sorry, I know that you use you as an example. If Honorable now, I was working with her to grow simsim in her garden, I would expect her to already have organized people, to have brought people there, so that we do this activity. Here, it was non-existent. So, labor and accommodation of the labor was a very big challenge to the project. The second biggest challenge that the project also faced was that the machines we were hiring is from the open market. Every time the price is going up, fuel has gone up, you're renting constantly. So you're doing 60,000 acres, but you could have already bought and owned this equipment and done it at a very cheap price. But now you have middlemen participating, making the cost go higher. And what we realized was with bush clearing, because bush clearing, government of Uganda supported this project with the machines of government of Uganda, the Komotsus. The cost and the efficiency of that was very low. If you look at the contract price for sugarcane to bush clear an acre, was 323,000. But when government took away its machines, we went to rent at 500,000 per hour, per acre. So you needed to realize, with this magnitude of agriculture that was required for farmers, we explained to government, until you do it efficiently, this cannot make logical sense. So our proposal at this level was, without mechanization, this thing is not tenable. So you will go to the next page. We have walked you through. We show you the 5 different groups of people who we paid. Okay, one farmer grew sugarcane himself. So the only person who, in our experience, in all the 11 years, has grown sugarcane by himself is a man called Martin Orama. Till date, we don't have any person, whether leader or not, has grown sugarcane for this project. Only one person. That one. But the rest of them were cooperatives, and most of it was funded by government. So from these cooperatives, this is the amount of money that has gone and has been paid to those farmers groups. Again, I feel farmers really did not benefit from this money. Even the one of Busoga, the one that government spent 16 billion as a subsidy of transport to bring the sugarcane here, we still spent to buy sugarcane. We paid a total of 10 billion. Although government paid 16 billion on the transport, 10 billion was also paid. From this, in the committee report of trade, it was realized that when they met the farmers, they were receiving, not the 90, they were receiving like 60 or 30, because the lump sum was paid through the cooperative. So these are all challenges we face. So after all these challenges, you need to look at also on the direction of the sugar sales. So taxes, its grand total is at the bottom, 4 billion is what we paid in taxes. Then we go, and we have listed for you in all the pages, going backwards, going ahead. So all these are sugar sales that we sold, and we have listed all the companies with their team that they received. So all these companies, we sold sugar, and these are the amounts. So 25 kilo bags, we sold sugar worth 15 billion Uganda shillings. For 50 kilo bags, we sold 6 billion worth of sugar. On the other side, on export, we exported both to Kenya and exported also to
factory. That is also very important. Lastly, as we are moving, I did have the opportunity to see the waste management policy of the factory, how to mitigate the pollution of the environment within the community. Thank you so much.
Okay, Honorable Udawabzi, I told you about tough questions, and
don't you have any other options of getting money such that you may not waste time? Because I've seen maybe government may tell you that it's bankrupt. So how long are you going to wait for it to get for you the money? Because what for us we are looking for is value for money. Are you yourself satisfied with so far the money being given to you by government that you've done what you're supposed to do before you try to look for other monies? That's my simple question. Whether you get annoyed with it, but
no, you're very well within your right to ask these questions. Could now I'm doing the role for these my friends. If you could let it come like that.
Mine is also connected to Honorable Mandi's question about the profits, but me this time I'm talking about the losses. Can we know if you've made any losses and tell us how you've been able to treat them if at all they're there? Then also the other one is that have you been having meetings as a project, maybe with the board or the executive, and if so, can you avail us with the minutes, at least for the last 5 meetings, for us to be able to know what we discuss about as far as this project? Lastly, we want to know, when do you think we will be starting for this sugar?
Could you ask one question? Is it possible?
Thank you very much.
Yes, so that one that's been asked is not repeated.
I have learned from the presentation of Muhammad that Atiak is shifting from sugar production now to nuts because they are testing soil and helping farmers to do coffee, something like that. Secondly,
Okay. This time has colleagues, it's past 4.
Thank you so much. Mine is, since the L.O.C 5 is here, the chairman of this district where the project is situated, I'm requesting if he can be given at least 3 minutes to give us a picture and whether or not he appreciates the project. Otherwise, I'm waiting to hear from government.
Okay, let's keep coming.
Thank you so much. Mahmoud has made a presentation to appreciate that, and it has opened our mind. Now, you said the water pipes are running from the River Nile, and they are 22 kilometers, but they are not yet set. But as we are moving around for the oversight, we saw very many pipelines, and you said they are operational, as they use electricity, some are underground. So now, that's a little bit confusing. What do you mean that they are not yet operating?
Thank you, L.O.P. Mine is about land ownership. We've got several complaints and we wanted to understand from the horse's mouth what is behind the land ownership and the time that it will take to be handed over. I don't know whether I'm clear, but I'm sure I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, let's move them some more.
Mine is about project planning. You know very well that to run your factory, you need raw materials because you need the byproducts to give you fuel. But how can you start a factory without steady supply of the materials? And how can you put a lot of money on machines for irrigation before procuring, before getting water? Did you buy from Obusoga to convince donors and test the machines?
Yeah, thank you, members here. You give me 1 extra minute if you want to request.
I'll give you 30 extra seconds.
Look, I want to start by allaying the fears of the management of this institution that when, as you have made mention, when you see us asking tough questions, I think we're just trying to play our role as an oversight institution of Parliament. And we are not in isolation. We don't do it in isolation. We do it with the kind of information we get from the ground, and as well as also representing the interests of the local people. So I want to re-echo what the L.O.P has said. You take it in good faith. We are not, if you stand for your people, you can't be negative about development, because then you'll be standing for something else. So we all support this factory, and that's why when normally there are supplementaries in the Parliament passes it to give more support to this factory, to kick off. And I must say that we have not been very happy as leaders of this sub-region, because since the factory started, for sure we have not seen any serious issues, whether it comes to the benefit to the local people or not. We have not seen it. And that's why when we're asking those tough questions, I know we need to be there with us. L.O.P, I want to ask one question. But this one question is linked to what our brother here from UDC as their contribution to this. I want to understand really exactly who owns this factory. Who is the owner of this factory, and who is the one running this factory. When you look at the shareholding, I don't know, but the information we have got here indicates that the contribution, whether through equity or cash arrangement, funding arrangement, it looks as if UDC has provided a lot of money. It looks as if. Yeah, maybe you will have to break it down. We have seen the government valuer report, which is here, and I've just been trying to compile the amount of money which other shareholders have been able to contribute. So we are seeing that you are about 44% now? About 44% of the shareholders. And this should have reflected in the way this company is being managed. In terms of management, 44% of the management portfolio should be done by UDC. And maybe 60% by others, or maybe 54% by others, 56% by others. Because there are other subsidiary companies that have been contributing. We don't know how much money they have been contributing. Because we are seeing the shareholders here are about 4 or 5? Right. About 5 shareholders. So the other ones are silent. We don't know how much money they've been able to put here. We only know of, let me say Oriel, who has been able to put about 168 billion Uganda shillings. That's what you said when we were in the vehicle. Yeah, it's even here. So you can see the volume of money that UDC has been provided. But I see, and we have heard and we have known, that in terms of the management, I don't know the contribution of UDC. And therefore, who actually owns this company? Who actually owns this factory? Who owns it? Because it looks as if we don't know who is the owner of this factory. And we don't know who is able to set the management. Then lastly, that's why I said you give me 1 second. Lastly, L.O.P, we need to find an avenue of interacting with the local people. Because if this factory has been set to benefit the local people, and it's 10 years down the road, we need to hear from them what they're saying. Are they really benefiting? Are they not benefiting? If they are benefiting, how are they benefiting? If they are satisfied, are they satisfied with the setup of the factory? Or for how long should they wait to get the benefit? These are issues that I think we need to interrogate with the local people. Okay. And I want to implore you, Lord, please set for us a day again to come back, and then we meet the local people and then establish this one. Thank you very much.
Yes, Honorable Gilbert. I'm very concerned about time. Now, 4:30.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Being the son of the soil, we have ever been in this factory from the time of setting up to now. I pray and request, let the management respond to your concerns, just to save time.
Thank you. Honorable Santa has something to say very quickly.
Thank you so much. Look, for me, my question was whether these investors did a thorough feasibility study before starting this project. Because when you do a feasibility study, you focus the challenges ahead of you and you find a mitigation method of that challenge. So I'm saying this because they are investors which is leaning on government. And I want to implore you, L.O.P, that the next request for supplementary budget for this Atiak Sugar should be rejected at Parliament until when the factory starts. Muhammad should stop showing us that presentation, because the community are saying, yeah, we are now benefiting, they had a lot of hope. But if I see government compensating the community at 1.6 billion, it means the community has lost hope. We have lost this money. This would have been Atiak Sugar giving the community this. So that means our people in the community have already lost hope. I'm now going to the production that you have gone to the 4 acres. I am in the Committee of Agriculture. We went to Nakaseke in Balaj factory. They came in and put a big factory for oil from ash avocado. But shortly they ran out of the raw materials like you did. And now they are importing raw materials, ash avocado from Kenya to service the factory. It is the same thing which is happening here. Soon our people will be asked to ferry their ash avocado from here up to Kampala with a lot of stress, and that will also be a failure. Where is the factory that is going to take the ash avocado you are making our people produce and these other products? Because this factory, if it fails to help the people of Northern Uganda, then it is not viable. For me, I cast a doubt from the beginning, because if they say sugar factory can make people grow, why wouldn't Basoga now be having a lot of investment and so forth? But the Basogas have remained poor until tomorrow because of their sugar factories there. So we are also believing that our people will continue being poor unless if they change the strategy to help the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's get quick responses. I also want to hear the voice of Dr. Amina. Let's get quick responses. I would also give you.
You can give a last comment as you conclude.
So, okay, maybe as you respond, let us know who approached who. Did UDC approach you, or did you?
For government to be investors in the project?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so let's kick off.
Want to start with that response.
Okay.
How that happened? DFCU Bank took over Crane Bank's loan. They were one of our debtors. So when DFC took back, they refused to complete the debt and they wanted it paid off fast. So because of that, government set up a program that you have called Agriculture Credit Fund to fund the project and finish. It was supposed to be a loan, continue with Agriculture Credit Fund. DFCU said they need $5.2 million in advance before they invest. So government said, since that roadblock was created, what they are going to do, they will put shares into UDC. And you even have a letter to show government saw the avenues of making this project get funding. Because as our argument was, you as government closed Crane Bank. It was not us who went and closed the bank. Then the new bank was taken over and saying the only options you have is to sell off your assets. So how do you resolve our challenge? So that is how government came in to be a shareholder. So the request came in after by DFC, because DFC wanted money first. And even if you look at the first financing that came in was to pay DFC Bank, your first 10.1% shares. I'm going to start with Honorable I'm sorry, I
Yes,
apologize.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I know the areas.
Just respond.
I think I can be able to.
Don't worry. Don't worry. Just respond. Don't worry, Mahmoud. I know you want to mention everyone by name. Don't worry.
I am very attentive.
You know, so Mahmoud, you might not respond to all the questions necessarily. Summarize. Do a summary.
Okay. First of all, with the shareholders, both Lebanon Courts, these days with URSV, it's very great. They do beneficial owners. Lebanon Courts and Kingston Enterprises is owned still by my mother and myself. So the shareholder of that, why them they are separate? My mother went and borrowed with those companies. So those companies had to get the shareholding as an entity because it was pegged to the borrowing that we got. Second of all, it is important, the first question which was asked was feasibility study. We did our feasibility study, this project was bankable, it was able to be done. The biggest problem was the area where the project was happening. This area of the project, development banks did not want to participate, they saw this place is too fresh out of war. Then commercial banks wanted at very high interest rates. So even for us to go, this project would have been sustainable if we got development banks to participate. We only went with commercial banks because of the area we are working. The next question that was there, because waste management policy, you missed it right outside of the factory. We have the thing, and all this water and everything is recycled in our project. So sugar factories are very efficient. They use 99% of their project. Okay, stealing tax.
Mahmoud, let me give you maybe what can give us a good summary.
Yes.
Talk to us about what the challenge is now.
Yes.
How does it get to be addressed? Because we also want to be part of contributing to the solution.
Okay.
Because we shall be discussing these issues in Parliament and so on. What's the challenge?
The challenge
because there's
is
no production.
The challenge is
how
agriculture. Once agriculture is fixed, this factory will work continuously. So agriculture has to be fixed with full implementation of irrigation, full implementation of mechanization, the machines are coming there, at least purchased, and full implementation of electricity production. Once those three things are set up, the factory is perfect, it just needs the raw material, and it needs constant raw material. On the conversation that we keep on raising about community development, we started it and we have shown our best effort to make it work. If you look at the 4-acre model, part of the distribution of funds is also for production of the factories. So all those crops are rebought. Once they are rebought, and this is UDC's money, so it is the contribution, because you need to understand the 54 billion cannot have planted 60,000 acres of sugarcane. It was just the start of the funding to do that activity. So government has now come in through UDC so that it can be accountable for that funding of the plantation of the crop. So the model of how farmers benefit is from revenue. Once you boost the development and in production, and the production happens, revenue comes out, and farmers can get this activity to benefit. And we have also budgeted for the activity of for manufacturing as well, post-harvest of the crops. And all of this, and what Atiak's goal, first of all, will be, is to be a large collection center, so that we do silos of all your maize, of all of your avocados, because we have many factories. Just here in this region, you have Noya factory, which is Bokona. Yes, for tea. Government also did the same model, and I think you, Honorable L.O.P and your members, I really request Honorable members, please look at their same problem. Cassava was given money, similar to nuts, to plant cassava throughout this region, in a Cholibu. Until now, that crop has not reached. So even if you say Koreala has this value chain of planting, because farmers grew the crop, how it got to the market is a problem. So what this model is to make sure the production is efficient, generates revenue, and then this money goes and it is organized. And what Korea wants to prioritize is value chain. The way your biggest fear, which is correct, we need to go directly to the farmer and collect it. And that's how you saw there the post-harvesting machines to do all these activities. On management, Honorable, before our Honorable L.O.P comes in, on management of the project, you need to take into consideration all the following. UDC in all the models, and I think this goes back to you as Parliament. Honorable members, if you make UDC to be an entity that also goes efficiently and participates in day-to-day management, it should work. But if you look at their act and how it does, they hire managers. They have left all programs. You look at the one in Soroti, all of them, they have no participation. They have external people. That one 100% was owned by UDC. Leave even now, yeah, at least there's other people. That one 100%, but they still had additional managers. So, as our argument to government has always been, if you also want to come in the mud and work and participate, we're here to work together. But you cannot also tell me, step aside, watch the fire, and you get white people to be doing the management. And this is what UDC, even in the beginning, they want white people to do management. So we told the government, how do you expect to have external management when you, your own shareholders, you don't want to participate? And this is a real problem. And I think as Parliament, please work to fix it. Because you cannot be an owner of a business, invest in it, and also don't come to visit your own project. To come and do it. If the fire happens, it is still, Mahmoud, go run and check. Why is the fire happening? Now, the question of fire, with the pivots, first of all of them are connected with electricity, internet, and they have cameras. So seeing that place. Then we have widened the roads. Before, the roads used to be 7 meters wide. The minimum of our roads these days is 15 meters wide. There are some as far, now the one of the hill, we made a lot of losses with the hill because the hill was the biggest carrier of fire. That one is a 50-meter wide road that has it. So the biggest thing is making the roads very big. It will be irrigated because we never have fires during the dry season. So we also make sure that they're constantly irrigated to ensure they don't have stress. Because the only reason the fire moves like this is because of that. Maybe Honorable L.C.
Let's first do this. Let's first hear from UDC. Then Dr. L.C. being our host will speak at the end very briefly.
No, I think something which is very significant which was asked was about the board.
Yes, we have.
Comment about the board.
Yes, we have. If you look at the board, we have 5 board members from the private sector of the board. The other 4 board members, which we all invited, inclusive UDC's board here today, they are not attended, is you have Jennifer Muguruzi, who is from Ministry of Finance. You have representing, you have Engineer Kimanzi, who is from Ministry of Water. You have Fred Otunu, who is UDC's also representative from UCC. He works in UCC. And then the last and final board member is Paulina Hong, who is part of the management of UDC. So even from the board, you have 4 seats to 1. And all the minutes, as Honorable I requested, all of the minutes for the last 5 meetings have been signed.
Let's respond. I'm also worried because the park is closed at a particular time.
They close at 6.
And it we not 7.
We will request you can close at 8. You can request them.
Since all our hosts are here and they are seeing the situation, they look at our request and blame you. But UDC.
Thank you very much.
All these people don't capture those things and say, hey, they gave them things to. Okay. Lowering amuko basabya abantu. Let me first do Uganda. Hey, you want more English? Okay. I did come here together with colleagues, mostly from the shadow cabinet, because the taxpayer has invested a lot of money in this project, Atiak Sugar Factory, over the years. Currently, the total is 553.7 billion shillings. And yet, there's no sugar being produced and all of that. These have been concerns to us. And so we thought, let's come on ground, establish what's happening. What are the challenges? How do we make sure that the taxpayer gets value for their investment? Because that's very important, yeah? The taxpayer has invested money in several companies, and you have seen us. You know, we went to the Biopharma, Lubowa Hospital, where they locked us out, and several others. You will see us going to many of these different ones because we want to be sure there is value for the taxpayer money. So 553 billion is a lot of money. That's why we are here. They've explained to us their challenges, and we have our concerns because we don't want the taxpayer to lose that money. This is a private investor that did come with the project in mind. Of course, there were challenges along the way. Government came on board, and what we are saying is there's got to be value for that 553.7 billion shillings. So this is a start. We want to follow up with all the others, UDC, Ministry of Finance, and so on. What's happening? Are they actually following up on this investment, or did they just put money into the project and they are minding their own business? Meanwhile, things are not happening here as they should, because you can't just invest money and then you depart. That's our concern, and that's why we are going to continuously follow up on this and several other projects where the taxpayer has injected money. Murugana.
Mr. Mahmoud seemed to have a suggestion in requesting the government to support the factory with bringing pipe water.
With more money. So, yes, the factory actually is saying they need more support from government. Of course, government has so far given 553 billion shillings as an investment that has been spent. They're saying they need more. On our end, we are saying, firstly, can we, because you see, to convince the taxpayer that you should inject in a lot more, you've got to show cause. You've got to show that it is valuable. Otherwise, the taxpayer is worried that they keep putting in money, nothing is coming out. So there has got to be cause showed that sugar can get to be produced. That way, you give justification to the taxpayer, to say, or whoever else, to say that this thing is actually working. But as it is now, it's difficult, even for us parliamentarians, to say, let's pass more money for this project. It is very difficult, I'll be honest. Uganda. Tuze wano olwaleero Amuru, Northern Uganda, okucheckinga ku factory eno, Atiak Sugar Factory. Factory eno yatandikibwayo emyaka 11 emabega. Gavumenti yagyegattako n'etekamu ssente olw'omuwa omusolo obuwumbi 553 n'ezeyongeramu. Kakati ssente ezo mpitirivu. Naye obuzibu obuliwo nti factory eno eyina okukola sukaali tavaayo. Ate nga tulaba ssente mpitirivu omuwa omusolo zaataddemu. Netugamba katujje eno mu Northern Uganda tutegeere ki ekigenda mu maaso. Ssente zino ezaateekebwamu zaasuulibwa mu kinnya, waliyo ekivaayo lyale, kubanga ezo ssente empitirivu ate nga bingi betuwulira ebitategeerekeka. Batuwulidde ebizibu bye bayitamu bonga company, simanya tebafuna bikajjo bimala okuproducinga, niffe tulaba emyaka giyise nnyo. Katulina okwiraliikirira kubanga bwe mbagambye nti ssente empitirivu eziteekeddwawo n'obuwumbi 553 n'ezeyongeramu. Kati omuwa omusolo aba alina okufuna vali mu investment eyo gy'ataddemu. Kyekituleese wano, kyekitutwala eyo Dei Biopharma n'awalala bo baatugalira ebweru naye nga tukyalemeddeko, kubanga bwe buvunaanyizibwa bwaffe okulondoola ssente z'omuwa omusolo ezo zikola ki era we zaateekebwa ki ekivaayo. Tubagambye nti naye kaakati nammwe mulina okwebereramu, muli mu kusaba nti gavumenti ebongere ssente. Ffe nga ffe kituzibuwalira okutuulanga mu Parliament tugamba nti tubongere ssente ndala nga tetunalaba ki ekivaayo, kubanga ezo ssente mpitirivu. Bayinza okuba nga bo baziraba nti ntono, ne ku muwa omusolo ezo ssente mpitirivu nga twagala okulaba value ya ssente ezo. Sukaali anaavaayo ddi? Omuwa omusolo n'alaba nti kaakati ssente zange ziri mu kukola ekyo. Kitutagenda kukkiriza ye ssente ya muwa omusolo eyo kwonooneka oba nti ebeere loosi, nti kaakati ezo zaafa nedde tetugenda kikkiriza ekyo. Kyovudde olaba tuzze wano nga twagala okulaba nti obuwumbi obwo 553 n'okweyongeramu omuwa omusolo azifunamu. Ekirala UDC, Ministry of Finance n'abalala fetulaba nti balagajjalidde obuvunaanyizibwa bwabwe kubanga be baliyo ku lw'omuwa omusolo nga ba shareholders, naye tebatera na kujja eno. Bawulidde aba management yawano nabo nga bagamba nti tubeeta